So, you're contemplating getting a tummy tuck to help you get rid of the mommy tummy and maybe diastasis recti. It's a hard space to navigate because not a lot of people are talking about it, except for today's guest on the Strong Mom channel, of course. We've got Lisa Ryan, who is a personal trainer for moms in pregnancy and in postpartum, who has had her own journey with diastasis recti and ultimately ending in a tummy tuck. And she's talking about that today. And you've got to watch this because she's telling you the 5 things that you need to do before getting surgery. So keep watching. Welcome to the Strong Mom channel, mamas. My name is Denise, personal trainer and holistic nutritionist for moms in pregnancy and in postpartum, and helping you to get a strong body from the inside out and to minimize diastasis recti, mommy tummy after having a baby. So if you guys have been with me and watching my videos, you know that I am about doing things in the most natural way, right? Healing diastasis recti, getting a flatter tummy, but that doesn't mean that there is never a time or a place for surgery. And that's what we're getting into today. So welcome to the Strong Mom channel, Lisa. This is great to have you here. Thank you so much. I'm going to introduce Lisa. She has been doing CrossFit since 2004, and she's a former regional level competitor from 2010 to 2013. She's a CrossFit level 2 trainer and also a pregnancy and postpartum athleticism specialist. After having her second son, she decided to change her careers from a high school teacher, English teacher, to a pregnancy and postpartum athleticism trainer. Lisa's on a mission to help moms avoid the misinformation, confusion, panic, pain, and the fear that she experienced during her return to fitness. And after having her own abdominoplasty / tummy tuck procedure, she found it even more rare for women to have specific guidance on how to return to fitness after getting clearance from their surgeon. And helping women recover from abdominoplasty is I guess a second passion of hers, and along with normalizing the length of the process. And we're getting into detail about that, about her surgery and kind of what led her down this route. So thank you so much for being with us, Lisa. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I'm so glad that you have taken what you've gone through and you've broadcast that to the world on Instagram, because all these other moms are not alone. And it's so great that you're sharing your story with us. So I want to know what your diastasis recti backstory is, and how did you go from being a teacher to training pregnancy and postpartum moms, athletes?
Yeah. So I never thought that I'd be doing something like that. That's for sure. I don't think I ever even knew what diastasis was, right? For a long time, which is part of the problem. But yeah, so when I had my first son, it was right out of the last competitive season. I knew that it was time to start my family. I was burnt out from teaching all day, training all night. And I knew it was just time for the next step. All very, very exciting. Excuse me. But, I really had no idea, even looking back, it's embarrassing to think about the lack of awareness I had about my own body, about what was happening while this child was growing in my belly.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of pains in my belly, a lot of uncomfortableness. I did train my first pregnancy. I didn't go super crazy. I mean, there are some things I would have done differently looking back on it now that I have the knowledge that I do. However, my diastasis happened because it was just a raw hand of cards that were dealt to me. I could have sat around and probably ate ice cream my whole pregnancy, and I would have had a lot of the similar issues. So I know it's easy for us to blame, oh, I should have done this in my pregnancy or that. We don't really know, right? There are things we can control and try to set ourselves up in the best way possible. I wish I would have had that information so I would have felt better, because I blamed myself for a long time. And then I realized, no, this isn't really my fault. But I was just clueless during pregnancy. And then coming out, I was really careful postpartum. I waited a full 2 months. I had a C-section. I tried to be really careful. I slowly got back into the gym, slowly got back to CrossFit. I just didn't have, it doesn't matter how slow I went. I didn't have any strategies or, again, awareness of core and pelvic floor considerations.
Right.
So when I finally lost the weight about, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 months postpartum, it's kind of a slow, healthy process for me. I'm very grateful for that. And then, kind of just let it happen naturally as I just started eating, feeling like I could eat better and work out a little bit more. And I thought, okay, well, now this belly will go away, right? Like now, then it didn't go away. Right. And my husband and I are like, what is this? And my poor husband, like I would try to, I'm like, what? He's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to say the wrong thing, but like, I didn't know what it was. Because if it was fat, it would have made sense. If it was just skin, it would have made sense. But it was really sticking out. And I couldn't figure it out. So then from there, I went on my whole traumatic journey trying to figure out what that was. People told me all kinds of crazy, insane stuff. Like I can't do CrossFit, can't have another baby, all this traumatizing stuff. I am just losing my mind, right? Because like I didn't want to compete in CrossFit anymore, but like I wanted to do CrossFit. Like I've been doing it since 2004. It's the thing I love, right? A huge mess. So sometime in that time, I met Brianna Battles, who's now come out with the Pregnancy and Postpartum Athleticism course that you can take as a coach. At the time she was having her own diastasis journey, she also had her hernia repaired, all this stuff, trying to figure out what was going on. And I've never met this person. A mutual friend actually sent me her number, and I texted a complete stranger because my desperation at this point was so high to figure out what the heck is going on with me. And then the rest is history. Right. So months and months down the road, she starts finding some more quality information. I try a couple PTs. I'm running around trying stuff over here. So then when I get pregnant with my second kid, she's like, all right. I'm like, okay, what'd you learn? Like, and so now we start kind of like, I had a little bit more awareness in my second pregnancy. Right. However, I also knew that what I had was pretty severe and like there might be a surgery when I was done having kids. Right. But at that point, I was a lot more empowered and I could kind of just wait and see and do what I needed to do. I found a new PT at that point that looked at whole body a little bit more, treated me totally differently. After my second pregnancy, looked at getting back to the things I wanted to do, like all of that stuff. Now, mind you, and I want to say this because sometimes we look at diastasis as this really detrimental thing. Yeah. Yeah. But between baby 1 and baby 2, I got back to doing tons of things at CrossFit and I felt really good, even with the diastasis that I had. Unfortunately, I can't give you any statistics because we didn't really even look at the fascial depth to it at all at that point. We were just looking at width, right? Like we weren't really going in. So I would kill to have that information to see the change. Yeah. I don't have it. But I was doing, I stayed away from certain things like GHDs and super, super, super heavy deadlifts and a couple of things, but everything else I was back to doing like core stuff. I felt muscle ups. I was doing all that, felt fine.
And I see all those videos on your Instagram page too. Yeah.
Yes. And most of those videos, I didn't take videos back then. Those videos were after my second son, where I got to all that stuff again. Right. Although at that point, it took me a little bit of time because I was a little bit fearful. Because then at that point, I learned all this stuff, right? So then I was like, oh, shoot, and so I was fearful to get back to that stuff. But then later down in my journey, I ended up getting back to all that stuff. Brianna pushed me. She's like, Lisa, you're 18 months postpartum. Like, you need to move on. And she pushed me to do a consult with Anthony Lowe, and he kind of pushed me along. And that was the moment leading up to surgery where I was like, everyone was like, what is she doing? Oh my gosh, like these videos look scary. Is she okay? Like, and that's when everything kind of blew up.
Right. And I wanted to go back, like the way that it looked. So the pictures that I've seen on IG are after your second baby. So the appearance of the diastasis, was it the same after baby 1 and compared to after baby 2?
Good question. I do think it got worse after baby 2. And I asked my husband, I'm like, you can tell me the truth. Does this look worse? And he's like, yeah, it does look a little bit worse. I'm like, okay, that's what I thought, but it's hard to tell,
Yeah.
But yeah, I could feel, oh man, I could feel that everything just stretching that second pregnancy. And it was tough because that time I knew what it was and there was nothing I could do about it. I was working out, but I was managing my pressure and modifying, and,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, okay, just to clear up, because there's a lot in the Googleverse. What is the difference between a tummy tuck, abdominoplasty, and diastasis recti surgery? If you can kind of break that down for us.
Yes, this is really weirdly messy. Okay, so there is something you can get. Let's say your actual diastasis isn't that bad and you just have a ton of extra skin. There's a procedure where you just get the skin tucked up, and they also call that a tummy tuck, but then people also call it a tummy tuck when you also get the muscle repair. Okay. So that's kind of weird. It's definitely more of a rare thing that you're just going to get the skin tucked up and not do the muscle repair, but it definitely can happen. Right. So I think technically that's the tummy tuck part, talking about the skin.
Right.
If you say abdominoplasty, then you're talking about both, but most people use tummy tuck to talk about both.
Okay, gotcha.
So it gets confusing, right? And then with the diastasis repair, sometimes people will get that repaired without touching the skin. Sometimes people will do the robotic repairs or, different things, or they don't have a lot of extra skin. So sometimes maybe they'll just call it that. Or some people are just ashamed and they don't like that. That word tummy tuck has a lot of negative stuff around it. Right. So some people will just call it a diastasis repair because they don't want people like judging.
Right.
So it's a mess.
Or mommy makeover, which includes the tummy and the boobs. Yes. Right.
Correct. So yes, that's the mommy makeover. Correct.
Right. Yeah. Right. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And yeah, you're right. It's kind of muddy waters. It's not really a huge clarification because everybody refers to it as different terms, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that many moms will, and I'm going to put some of your pictures here too, your before and after pictures. And I know a lot of moms who are here are probably thinking, okay, how do I know when it's like too bad? Like, how do I know how worse it needs to, or how bad it needs to be to get a tummy tuck? Like, when is it kind of like, and I know Lisa has done everything in her power. You saw the best physiotherapist or physical therapist you call in the US. Yeah, I know you flew to California and you saw some of the best Anthony and Grenier who are in the research space of diastasis. So you've seen so many. And I know there's that, like, there must have been a point where all of you were like, okay, we've done all we can. Now it's time to consider, getting the surgery. So if you want to work that in, I guess that very open-ended question in with the 5 steps of what a mom must do before considering surgery.
Yeah, this is such a weird place because we've gone from, we don't even know what diastasis is, to people know what it is, but then there's all this weird information about it and everyone's freaking out, and and it's like we need to kind of like reground that at the balanced middle. Before I go through my 5 steps, really overall, like, my hope for women is that they go into the surgery from a place of empowerment versus a place of desperation. Mm-hmm. So if they choose to get it only aesthetically, like functionally they're strong, but aesthetically like, then that's their choice. And like, let's do it. But I want them to understand the realities of the recovery and all of that as well. Because it's plastic surgery, there's a lot of lacking information about how to get back to fitness. It's just not there, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a huge disconnect, and not all the surgeons really even understand like what people want to be doing after surgery or how to guide them that way. So there's that. Also, because diastasis turned into this very fearful, scary thing, like, oh my gosh, I have 3-finger diastasis. I need surgery, or I have back pain. It's because of my diastasis, and all of these things. And so that makes it all messy as well, because a lot of those things can be mitigated. And like, even myself with such a severe case, I was able to do so much functionally. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's a challenge with people. But looking at it from let's look at the diastasis itself. When you test diastasis, right, we can look at how wide your rectus is and then how far your hands go in, right? Mine could go in and touch my spine. And
I read that. Right.
So surgery for me, right? Like, now there's all kinds of things in between, right? Like going down just a little knuckle deep. Okay, well, yeah, you've had a baby. You can probably work on loading that and tensioning that more and getting that to be even more responsive and more strong. Is your stomach going to look the exact same? Even people who look jacked after pregnancy, those people still say their stomachs don't look the same as pre-pregnancy.
Yeah.
So understanding, accepting that is the first part. But really that fascial tension is more important than where you are width-wise.
Exactly, yeah.
Even me, I could bring it into here when I was doing athletic stuff, but then at rest it was here and my fascia, right? But I could, because of all my hard work and playing around with all these millions of things, right? So that's really what people want to look at from that standpoint. But even so, then it's like, well, does it go down this far, this far? Yes for surgery, no for surgery. I mean, it's messy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And so that's what go ahead.
Everybody will have I want to spend a year trying to fix this the most natural way possible. And then, so everybody will have a different, I guess, kind of timeline as well. Which you're going to tell us what you should be doing before you get surgery.
Yes. Yeah. The timeline. Yes. So the first thing is you want to work with a really progressive physical therapist. What I mean by that is someone that understands the fitness that you want to be doing, that's also going to progress you back to sit-ups and things that we, like are have demonized around diastasis, right? So someone that understands what you want to do and progresses you on your timeline, right? So are you just out of having birth? Okay, we're not going to be doing a ton of sit-ups yet, but like we're going to progress back to those and look at where you're at, how your diastasis presents, what strategies do you need, So, new moms, you've got back pain. And then if you're told you have a weak core, and you have back pain because of that, then that's not going to be good, right? So working with a pelvic floor physical therapist that is also going to help you through any kind of other pains that you have will also help to empower you to have the education, but also just to feel much better than maybe you even thought that you could with that kind of support. So that's the first step is to really find the connection with that person. Now, the good thing about diastasis is sometimes it might be hard to find that person in your local neighborhood. Mm-hmm. But with diastasis, there's so much you can do on a Zoom call, right? Because you can, I do this all the time with my consults, right? Like, get this angle, let me see your stomach, like, So if you're having trouble finding that person to help you with all of that, telehealth is alive. So, you can find a pelvic floor physical therapist. I know a few that I really trust. I could pass along to people, that they can see online as well. So that's the first step, which can feel overwhelming, but that really is the first step. Then the second step is to work out and get strong. So that's where like a pregnancy and postpartum athleticism coach can come in to help bridge that gap. You don't have to be someone that goes to the gym and does CrossFit and all this stuff, but like you can just do some core work at home if that's more your jam. But really, because that can also help get rid of pain. It's also going to make you feel a lot more empowered if you at least feel better, even if you don't like the way it looks, if you feel better. Also, it can change some of your aesthetic, even for me. And so the thing about working out, getting strong, is that it can also change your aesthetics. So not only are you feeling better, you're feeling stronger, you're feeling more confident, but it possibly can, like even my extreme belly, like it's still at rest. When my rectus got stronger, when I was adding in more high level movements and core movements, it did tighten up a little bit. It was very interesting. So even for me, I did see somewhat of an aesthetic change, not huge, but it was very interesting. So if you want something less severe, you may get the aesthetic change that you're like, oh, I feel okay with this. And then maybe you think I'm okay without surgery, right? Or maybe you think, nah. But in any case, even if you get the surgery, you're stronger going into surgery. You're hopefully feeling better with less pain. And you're just feeling a little bit more empowered and less, upset or feeling like you need the surgery right now.
Right. And I want to point out that because a lot of people think, oh, I have this diastasis. That means I can't twist and I can't turn and I shouldn't pick up and I got to, it's like all these all these no-no exercises we have all seen. But that's, that's why, yes, you need a good physical therapist and a coach like you or I, who is going to lead you progressively through those exercises and daily movements that you need to be doing in order to make your core strong enough so that you can go into surgery strong and come out the other end strong as well.
Yeah. And really reaching your potential. I see so many women with diastasis that have not reached their strength potential because they're avoiding so many things. And I understand why. They're scared. That's what's been taught to them. Like, I get it. Right. But I think that this number 2 part is so important because most people have not exhausted all of their options to get strong.
Right. And I like that you said that. Most people haven't exhausted their options. So yes, these are exhausted the things that you need to do. So these are the key things that you need to do. And you can determine how long you want to spend doing those things. But being realistic with that time, again, just curious, how long, and we're going on to step 3 or the number 3, how long did you kind of spend throughout all of this until you made that decision?
Yeah. So I had already decided that I didn't want to get surgery until my son was like 2.5, because it just would have been easier. I don't have to pick him up. And I also was like, I want to give myself time to see how strong I can get. So putting those 2 things together, it worked out really great for me. I had like 8 months after I kind of got back to doing everything where I just like got stronger and stronger and stronger. And it was probably the most fun I've ever had, the best time of my life. Like I started to love the belly because I felt like I was helping people. Like it was this life-changing thing. Now that is not going to happen to everybody, right? But what I want to happen for people is once they start feeling the progress of feeling stronger, my hope is that people will know. Like they'll know, okay, I'm doing all this core stuff. I feel good, but I still don't, I don't know if I, or they get rid of some of their pain, or, like once they feel the improvement and they're working with somebody, they're going to see a huge difference. And then at some point, maybe kind of just, okay, like plateau, or, they can decide on an aesthetic level what they want to do. But I always say, I think ideally the earliest you'd want to do it is like 18 months postpartum, I mean, depending on when you stop nursing and all that, if you're doing that, but just because it takes a year to 2 years per Diane Lee, right, for tissues to heal. Yeah. So you want to heal as much as you can on your own first.
Right.
Before going under this surgery, which is really freaking hard. Like you want everything in your corner, right? Yes. And so that is, that's just, that's my advice. But again, everybody, if they get it earlier, I mean, it might not be a disaster either, right? But I just personally want to set everyone up for the best scenario.
And that's really important to think about. Your kids, how big are they? Are you going to have to lift them, right? All those lifestyle factors that go along with, is this the right time in my life as well? Okay, awesome. Yeah. Number 3, what is the third thing that you need to do before surgery?
Yes. Okay. Get a ton of consults. Even if you haven't decided on surgery yet, you can start doing them, but know that they're going to be very overwhelming. I cried at my first one. They took a naked picture of me. It was really intense. My first surgeon didn't understand CrossFit, and I was terribly afraid about not getting back to that. Told me I'd only be 80% strength ever after surgery, and I freaked out. I mean, like, it was awful. But even if you go into the first one and you feel like this is my surgeon, like, first of all the surgeons do the surgery differently, and it drives you crazy, right? So it's good to kind of start learning about that from different surgeons and get different opinions. Second of all, you might not really know if you found your surgeon unless you've had other consults to even understand what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because there's just a lot. Like they might have good bedside manner, but maybe you don't feel comfortable about something else. Maybe they aren't hard to talk to, but you look at their work and the way they've explained it and you really like it. And then you have to decide, is that okay or not for me?
Right.
There's a lot that goes into it from an emotional standpoint. There's a lot that goes into it from the standpoint of which way are they going to do the surgery? Is that for you?
Right.
You don't know what you don't know. This is like underground crap with the surgery. It's so annoying. Like you just have to get in the trenches and get your consults, at least 3, if not more.
Right.
I think that is, and then you bring a list of questions, because I used to get so nervous. Me, who's like advocate, and like rah, rah, rah all the time to people. I was like sweating in these consults. Like this person's God, like I'm just like, so I brought a list. I would read from the list. I would take notes on what they said, because you might not remember. It's very overwhelming, right? And then just collect your data.
Okay, so you do have a kind of what do you call it? Like a guide to helping moms to navigate these consultations. So ladies, if you're interested in that, I'm going to put Lisa's website address in the description box, and you can pick that up. I'll have the links all set out for you guys down below, so you can pick that up, so you know what questions to ask, because that's really, really important. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, number 4.
Okay. Give it time. And you've already kind of touched on this a little bit, but there's a few reasons. One, you have time to digest seeing the surgeons, what they said, figuring that whole thing out in your head, right? Yeah. Maybe go back and ask them more questions before you decide to book with them. Or maybe you do decide to book with them, but you go back because you get more questions, right? Like I have my list of questions, but that's not even, and it's pretty long, you guys, but there's still more questions. Like there's a lot. And so it just gives you time to process all of that. It also gives you more time to work out and get strong. And so really it's a win-win. But again, I know some people have certain time frames or certain things, or, other things going on in their life, and that might not always work out. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But in general, that's what I like to say is just give it more time.
Right. Awesome. Don't jump into this, because this is serious and it's expensive.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You can save money. Yeah. I mean,
Got you. Okay. And the last one, your 5th thing that you need to do before getting surgery.
Yes. So this is the one I talk about so much, is just working on your body image. And this is tough. So the way I like to explain this is, you can have a love for your body and still not like the way it looks. Like I got to the point where I love that belly in a way that I never thought would be possible, because I hated it for so long, because of what it could do. And it changed my life in all these positive ways. But I was like, wow, this belly is powerful for so many reasons, right? But I still don't like the way it looked. Like I chose surgery. Yes, that fascia was very concerning, because I could stick my hand in there, but I also didn't like the way I looked, and that's okay, right? What is really hard with this is if you go into it still with just this disgust for your body, not really feeling really empowered in the process at all, then you're going to come out of surgery still nitpicking everything about your stomach, because you don't look perfect after these tummy tucks. And I have another little blog on my website you guys can check out about what to actually expect after tummy tuck, which may surprise some people, but it's really important that you understand that and do that internal work before getting surgery, seeing a therapist, whatever. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. Exactly. And so taking that time to really work on your body image before surgery.
Yeah, really good point. That's a great one. Okay, so for those moms who have watched this and they're like, you know what, that's great. I've worked on all these things. I'm going to do it. I'm going to, done my own research. I'm going to get my tummy tuck. What is one really important, or a couple really important things that you want them to know about the after surgery?
Yeah. That's another thing that's not talked about a lot. I think sometimes the plastic surgeons, even the really good ones, just, this is what they do, right? So they're just going to say, let's do it. Right. And then, some of the sketchy ones may just say, oh yeah, 6 weeks, you're fine. Like when they're trying to sell their services, right? I mean, they're selling their product. But it's not, it's just like pregnancy and postpartum, right? It's like, okay, you're cleared at 6 weeks. What? Like it is, the recovery is really, really hard, and it's going to take a lot longer than people think. And just preparing for that, and the whole, like having the child care. Like I stayed at my parents' for 2 weeks. I was not in the same house with my children. I know not everybody can do that, but like you can't be upstairs. You're going to hear what's going on. You're not going to relax. You might get out of your chair. One of the surgeons I interviewed gave the example of a mom who was sitting there and other people were taking care of her kids. She saw her kid about to jump off something and she got up and reopened her stitches. I mean, you can't turn off the mom brain, right? So making sure you locked. Yeah. I mean, it's like inherent, right? Locked and loaded so you can rest more than you want to. Mm-hmm. So you've got to be ready to have the rest
right.
for a long time. And then all the surgeons give different examples on like when you can do core again and all this stuff. I mean, they're all different. Yeah. So there's that. But in general, just how you're feeling, like it's going to be a long time. And that you're not going to, this is the biggest thing. You will not be completely flat. You will not look like a Barbie doll because you eat food. And when you eat food, your stomach expands and drinks water like throughout the day. So when you wake up in the morning, you might be like, "Ooh, I gotta tell you." And by midday, you're not gonna look like that because you're human. Right. Somehow we've forgotten this because after babies, even with a very little diastasis, we still see that difference when we eat, right? It moves more than it did before baby.
Right.
But we forget because it was so long ago. Pre-baby, we were always skinnier in the morning before we ate.
We didn't notice it.
We didn't, right? Because it was, I don't know, we were just, life before kids, right? Exactly. Well, like we were, right? And so post tummy tuck, that's going to happen too. It doesn't mean your repair failed. It doesn't mean anything's wrong, right? Because everyone's really afraid of that. And yes, it can happen, but like, and then the swelling lasts for a lot longer than a lot of people realize too. So you've got the swelling, you've got the bloating from eating, and people can get really upset by that. So you just have to go into it knowing that that's going to be a year process, possibly with the swelling. Right. And then knowing that even after that, you're human and your belly will change.
Right. And to that, Lisa, you also have something else to give to the listeners and watchers. You have a general kind of, a timeline for return to fitness after having a tummy tuck. So again, I'll put that down in the description box below if you're looking for real life. How long is it going to take? Right?
Yeah, that was so hard to write because one, surgeons have all different timelines. Two, it is individualized, right? But like overall, we want to err on the side of relaxing a little bit more. And so this can kind of give people a realistic idea of like what to expect.
Right. Exactly. Awesome. I want to thank you so much for bringing all this information to us. For the moms who are having nowhere to turn and not really knowing where to look, you've provided such a wealth of knowledge. And even for myself, like I know with my clients who have, talked to me about maybe in the future getting the surgery. I'm like, I don't know anything about that, but you're going to talk to Lisa because she's right?
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful and grateful for you. Can you tell everybody where we can find you? Tell us your IG because you have pictures and you are like not afraid to shout it from the rooftops, your before and after pictures and all the hardships that, you've been through.
Yeah. So it's lisa.marie.ryan on Instagram. Super easy.
Link below. Awesome. And where else can we find you? I think your website.
Yeah, my website is www.lisa-ryan.com. And if you guys have any questions, I've got a link on there to book a 15-minute call if you want to talk about anything or talk about possibly working together post tummy tuck or just anything. I love talking to my moms about this. I feel like there's just not enough out there. And so I'm just so passionate about it. So if you have anything, just book a call. And I want to thank you for your hard work working with our mamas because we need to keep doing that postpartum. Like it is, we need to keep bridging that gap and helping our moms. So thank you.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful. Everybody, all the links are down below to check out all her goodies. Thank you.
Thank you.